greetings, welcome, and salutations. Welcome to the XEP Community episode recapping the month of gaming in November with the patrons and channel members of XEP. We are glad to have you guys with us here to help celebrate some games. I am your host, Luke Lohr, the InsipidGhost, and today I'm joined, of course, by my co-host, the intrepid Captain Logan. I am also joined today by one Anubis. How are you, sir?
I'm good, thank you.
It is wonderful to have you. I already will just note for every listener that's just there that you've started ribbing on Logan before we even started recording, and I approve. I'm here for. We are, of course, also joined by Nissa Hauer, working mic, working webcam, working Wi-Fi, and I am thrilled to have it. How are you?
Good, new laptop. So 5G, that Samsung, not a Microsoft Surface Go. So I'm doing good.
There you
Had a
go.
little trouble getting home today. The
Getting home
cops
because of
decided-
traffic or weather or what?
Cops decided to block off my street.
Oh, well, that's not.
There was a big top firefight parade somewhere.
Ah, gotcha.
At
Well, we are glad
5:30
that you made it. Yeesh. We are glad you made it, though. We are also joined by the amazing Silkenit, the French one, as they say. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Christmas. You don't see it because of but it's eggnog.
Ugh. I am so upset right now. We're drinking
So
eggnog already. Oh,
Yeah, it's December. It's
December,
it's just 30 days in the year.
You see the giant real Christmas wreath back here? It's Christmas. Christmas, man.
Oh man, that's. I am excited for Christmas. I will say I enjoy the holiday.
Oh, you
Halloween
like
is
it?
my favorite, but I
Yeah.
do enjoy it.
It's coming across.
I will also say real quick, I see Rick Davis who wants to have an invite, but I did not see him in our Discord. You got him? Okay.
I'll get him.
I will say, just to be very blunt, because I'm so thrilled that Rick is here, but I was very hurt when I logged in and didn't see his name. And I was like, man, Spreading the Nerd gets popular and suddenly we're chopped liver. It hurt. It did hurt emotionally. I'm so excited Rick's joining us, though. I have missed him greatly. I also want to give a shout out to Saborito in the chat. Of course, the amazing Jen, aka a coffee chick. Split End 89, Mr. David Burdett from GamingTrend.com, Red Beast, Gentlestone, Nick Johnson, Big B Money, the Lord Sir, Master James Suddy, and then of course, I see a few other people in there like Kevin Ainsworth, my frenemy, in chat. Please know, Kevin Ainsworth, that I will go to war with you at any point if you join today to talk about whether or not we should be judging DLC and expansion based on side quests or main quests. I'm just kidding. I love Kevin Ainsworth. And he's sick in bed. What a guilt trip. Gosh, the worst. Worst.
I can't believe you would just say such rude, mean things to someone who's clearly under the weather. Like, where's the compassion? Where's the empathy of XEP? It's in part of the acronym E for empathy.
Ah, that's what it is. That's what it is. Shout out to a coffee chick for gifting 5 XEP memberships off the bat. Now that is how you start. Thank you so much. I will say, a coffee chick, in your honor, I'll try some eggnog this year. Just for that. When people say I can't be bought, they're wrong.
It doesn't take much.
It doesn't take much. All right, did we get Rick? I want to give him an invite. I thought we got him.
I did.
Okay, look for Logan's.
At least you guys didn't put eggnog in mashed potatoes.
No, that sounds like blasphemy. Goodness.
Why would you do that to eggnog?
Well, one year my family didn't have milk to make mashed potatoes, so we did have eggnog.
Oh, God, that reminds me of the pre-made chocolate milk story from college. I don't need to go into that.
Oh, boy. Let's welcome Mr. Rick Davis, newly crowned Elden Lord, host of Spreading the Nerd. Welcome, my friend. It's so good to see you.
How's it going, everybody?
It's good to have you back, buddy. Good to have you back. Well, guys, we've got a lot to talk about. Is there more on the eggnog? You're pointing. Okay, yeah, that's what, thankfully we're moving on from eggnog quickly. we've got one Indiana Jones in the background of Captain Logan's screen. I think Anubis has that up as well. Indiana Jones just dropped an animated background for Xbox users. We are days away at this point. I am stoked for everybody that's going to be checking out Indiana Jones.
You also apparently need about a $40,000 computer to run it, but those specs are insane.
We're good. We're good, baby.
Todd Howard didn't get the message. He needed to optimize. All right.
Gigs of RAM, 40 series, ray tracing.
Feels good at the top.
But my computer fits somewhere in the just over minimum without ray tracing. And I'm like, really?
And don't you guys have like good rigs?
Considering, well, mine's okay. It's a little bit old now, but I can run Stalker 2. So the fact that I can run that but not run Indiana Jones is pretty pathetic, actually.
Well, on paper.
I can run Stalker 2 on my OG ROG Ally, so...
Maybe on streaming, xCloud.
No.
I wouldn't count that being able to run it, that's for sure.
I downloaded the game, and it's running fine.
That's
Interesting. So tell me about, I do want one of you, please be so kind. Well, be nice in chat saying Stalker 2 is their game of the year. I love hearing that. That's pretty cool.
Oh, nice.
But tell me, when you guys saw the PC specs, as someone who is on the most base level, I'm a pure console gamer and a very minimum PC gamer in the fact that I'm playing Ninja Turtles on Steam sometimes and playing Arkham on Steam sometimes. So tell me, when you guys saw that, for those of you with decent rigs, weak rigs, powerful rigs, what went through your mind? What were you frustrated, angry, happy? Take it away, somebody.
Mr. Lohr, I
Captain
have an
Logan?
opinion. I have an
Please
opinion.
Right.
First off, I just want to say that when I saw these PC specs, I thought, man, wouldn't it be amazing if Sea of Thieves had a dynamic wallpaper for the Xbox console? It would be so nice to be able to look at this wonderful list of like different rig variations that can tackle Indiana Jones on the Great Circle, and how fantastic it would be to have a Sea of Thieves dynamic background up in the background whilst playing such an amazing game. Hopefully on such a nice computer, but sadly today we are not blessed by that. We instead have the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle dynamic background. Rare, I'm very disappointed in you. So I'm going to be playing Indiana Jones and the Great Circle at a ultra on the full ray tracing requirements. Because if I spent this much money on a PC, I'm gonna flip and enjoy it. You can't
typing.
lose.
We can hear you guys.
I will say from experience, Logan, if you plan to play Star Wars Outlaws, don't play it on console.
Oh, really?
I find the console version to be very, very disappointing, but the PC version is actually much, much, much better.
Ooh.
Like,
Okay,
it's
when did
night
you
and
last
day.
play?
And I played it literally 45 minutes ago, and I played it on my Pro yesterday. So I'm talking about the best console version versus the PC version, and there is zero comparison.
Wait, okay. Say that again, but slower for me, like I'm 5. You played the console version most recently when?
Yesterday.
I played it yesterday and this morning, and I found it to be a wonderfully smooth experience. You're saying it's that much better still on PC?
Yeah, I mean, did you play it in quality mode, or did you play it in frame rate? Because frame rate is not stable on console at all, I don't think. Well, it is on the Pro, but again, that's with massive, massive, massive amounts of what do they call it, artifacting or whatever from the PSSR.
I played it on my Series X.
PC. It looks like a. My best way to compare it is a Series X versus a 360 game. That's what it looks. Or not 360. It's Xbox One game. It looks like a night and day difference between PC and console. Yes.
It's looking. We're talking about Star Wars Outlaws, right?
Yes.
I think it's looking pretty darn good on my Series X. So it is that much of a difference.
It's not even close. Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I'm kind of happy to hear that, but I've been actually very impressed with it. And I will say, my only gripe is that I think the main character, she's really ugly in game.
Yeah, she doesn't look actually nearly as bad on PC. Yeah, so it's honestly the console version downscales everything so badly that it badly changes the way it looks. Well, unfortunately, he got up. I was about to say I know that Logan played Avatar Frontier whatever it's called, Frontiers of Pandora
on
on console, which I did as well. It's made by the same team. It's Ubisoft Massive, and it's the same engine. I think it's their Snowdrop engine. And I also played that recently on Xbox and then on PC. And now that one they did a much better job with the console version, I think. But it looks markedly better on PC for sure.
Interesting.
But either way, yes, Logan played on PC. Trust me.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I think seeing the specs, I think we're starting to get into that realm of games where we're really having to like, okay, we're starting to see like the crisis level of requirements being
they're struggling to even maintain them now, let alone at any kind of decent resolution or frame rate or anything of the ilk. They're just so far behind PCs now.
The SSD is like a requirement now at this point. Hardware GPUs that can handle ray tracing is like a bare minimum now. 32 gigs, honestly, for me is standard. Like I'm actually
I'm surprised he says that, because 32.
No,
gigs
it's the 32 is like for the ultra full ray tracing.
Well, but what I'm saying is that's not
like
that weird of a requirement. I don't think
it's not a recommended setting, not a minimum. It's for the top level of like all options on.
Well, so for recommended without ray tracing, they say 32 gigs. Recommended is 32, ultra's 32, minimum is 16. But minimum with ray tracing is only 16 as well too. So this and we're talking about actual like RAM, like memory sticks as opposed to video RAM. Like 32 gigs is what I've got in my system right now. I opened up Rust today, which is a very memory taxing game, and it grabbed 19 gigs of my 32 and almost capped me out on that. And I was sitting there thinking, like, maybe it's time to get 64. Maybe we're getting closer to that 64 requirement.
Interesting.
It leaves rooms to open like 2 Chrome tabs.
Pretty much. I'm already maxed with the two that I got right now. Don't threaten me with a third tab, okay?
Gentle Stone saying, I'm just happy to have a PC again that can run current gen games. And then I fall more in line with Anubis, who says, love that worry-free console life, because I'm more in the console space. But it feels like more and more the Xbox is blurring the lines of what it means. And I want to open this up to everybody else and say, for anyone who's catching this episode but missed XEP proper, one of the things that I am noting is that I, Luke Lohr, host of the Xbox Expansion Pass, am more and more interested in handheld gaming, playing via cloud, playing on other devices. And I feel like it's largely Xbox's fault because they are driving us to other mediums. And I don't say that as a bad thing. When I say it's their fault, I think that's exactly what they want. I'm not saying that in some tragic way, but I do find myself leaning and going towards other places to check out my stuff. And I'm curious if any of you are in that similar realm, or if anybody is experiencing something similar. Go for it, Nissa.
You guys all know it, like in Discord and everything, that I always play on my ROG Ally. I'm always on it. My Xbox, my PlayStation, my Switch are kind of collecting dust. They're like decorations. I've seen the pictures. They're pretty decorations. I can put stickers on. But I hear more and more people talking about, handhelds and everything, and that they like their handhelds on a lot of different shows. I also had a kid today know what a ROG, like I think he was like 10, 11 years old, know what a ROG Ally was, know that he wanted one, and was surprised that there were other handhelds out there that would probably be more beneficial to him, like the Steam Deck.
That's pretty interesting considering.
I think more and more kids are going towards like their phones or their handhelds and things like that, because like the Switch, like I think I've said this before, all my nieces and nephews are all on the Switch, and that's how they're playing, or they play on their tablets.
Nissa, you're big into Disney Dreamlight Valley. Do you think what you're playing is driving you towards like preferring the Raga Ally?
I think it's more like lifestyle. Like you guys know I'm a therapist, and I go out into the community. I would sit at the office all day, and mostly what I was playing at the office was Disney Magic Kingdoms, and I wanted to play more. So I was looking for a handheld that would let me play more. And I originally was looking at the Steam Deck, but it wouldn't allow me to play Xbox games. So I looked at different ones that were out there, and I chose the Rogue Ally because it's the cheapest. It was the most simplest one to set up, according to reviews.
Yeah. And Kevin Ainsworth saying he's playing his Rogue Ally in bed because he's in there sick.
Yeah, it's easier. I wear glasses. I wear glasses, and I don't know. Logan wears glasses, and I know. For me, I know like a lot of us wear glasses in this chat, but for me, sometimes I lose my glasses. I forget them. They're across the room. I know it's so far to go across the room, but my ally is always on my bed or near my bed. So I don't have to go get glasses. I don't have to go turn on my TV. I know all these executive functioning steps that I have to take. I just turn on my game and I play games.
Makes good sense.
There's definitely something to be said about that when I've got my G Cloud like over on my nightstand and I'm like, I just want to play for a little bit, just jump into something real quick, popping that up. Way better than having to like get the TV turned on, get where's my controller, have it boot up, and so much simpler just to jump into something on streaming through like xCloud or something. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and if I want to play on my PlayStation's finicky. If I somehow have a power outage, like mine powered it on last Thursday, I have to turn it on. I have to wait for it to do its thing and be like, hey, you didn't turn this off correctly. And the Xbox will just turn right on. That's kind of the best thing about that. But you have to wait for it to fix itself. And then I log in and figure out my game. I know it's like some people are just like probably going like this, it's not that much, but like after work and coming home from like, or after like being on a screen all day, I just want to sit and play an easy game. I just don't want to do the extra steps sometimes.
That you're talking about like the easy game to play or the easy experience of just pick it up and go?
Easy experience to pick up and go because my Log Ally is always on. It's plugged in. I just have to type in my password and then there we go.
This convenience, I didn't think about this until just now. This is very reminiscent to me of our transition from physical media to digital media in the exact same sense that you were talking about, where it's like, oh, I don't want to go across the room and grab the disc and put it in the Xbox. I can just click the button and it's ready to play. I feel like that played a powerful role in people converting. And just like you were saying, like logically in our head is like, all right, it's really just across the room. It's not like, how lazy am I going to be? But the fact is like, yeah, I'd rather just keep my butt planted in the seat and I'm just going to grab something and play. So yeah, I get what you're saying. And I feel like this is not a new drive for convenience. It's something that it's just shifting. We went from physical to digital and now we're going more into the console to portable.
Yeah, and I think with digital going down that, my older sister's kids came up from where they live to visit us up here where I live, and my nephew opened up his case and all his Switch games fell out, and he lost a few because of that. And so digital is probably a little bit more convenient if that was and everything. There's don't give discounts.
How many times have we booted up a game, said, that's not what I feel like, and switched immediately. Right? Like, I feel like a lot of us have done just that because we didn't want to play. We started off one game and then changed our minds and started with another. And I think that's a big thing that happens. Right?
Yep.
So, Anubis, good call out. Good call out. Logan, you have a G Cloud.
I do.
Will you talk about that experience a little bit?
It's fantastic for when I want to play games that aren't tied to the Switch, like when I have access to Wi-Fi. So I would say, like, most of the time, if I'm not going to have access to Wi-Fi, I will probably take my Switch, because I feel like having the native games there makes sense, which is kind of why I was like just recently digging into some different articles to determine, because the G Cloud actually has like an SD card slot on it. So I'm trying to figure out if I can get this thing to download actual games onto an SD card and play them the same way that I store games or play from SDs on my Nintendo Switch, since I don't have like a Steam Deck or a ROG Ally. More and more, I'm noticing like connection troubles with stream-ready consoles. Like I can't always connect up to my PlayStation. I can't always connect up to one of my Xboxes. And that definitely can be frustrating, which is when I tend to rely more on xCloud or Steam Link, which again, Steam Link requires my PC to be on to be able to connect up to it. But you know, if I'm at home and I'm just laying in bed or I'm on the couch and I don't necessarily want to be at the computer, having a G Cloud is fantastic for being able to have access to multiple ecosystems through that. The failure point obviously is going to be Wi-Fi. So there's pros and cons to it. I really enjoy the actual handheld. It's much lighter than a lot of other handhelds because all it is just a streaming device, and not too dissimilar from the PlayStation Portal. You're going to be able to like have a reasonable experience with the G Cloud through streaming the same way you would with like a Portal or you would with your phone and using like a backbone. But more and more I'm starting to realize, like, if I want to have a really good native experience, there's a good chance that I will probably have to eventually like sell this, pick up like a ROG Ally. Like I've been looking into the ROG Ally and seeing like if there's any new updates on when the second one's going to be coming out, since they've already alluded to that. Mm-hmm. They just announced the white OLED version of the Steam Deck, which makes me wonder if it's going to be a little bit before we see an upgraded version of the Steam Deck, in which case the OLED's going to be the best you can get right now, but also the LCD ones are dropping in price to like Nintendo Switch levels. Mm-hmm. It's really hard to like make a gauge on, you know, what you can do. But as far as the G Cloud is concerned, it does enough of what I needed to do to justify it. But most of the time, I'm probably going to want to have the more full experience on my PC or like on a console where I've got that native download.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about you, Rick or Silkenet? You guys are more PC based overall, if I'm correct. Does the allure of a ROG Ally or a G Cloud or a Steam Deck appeal to you?
Well, saying I'm more PC based is not quite right, because I do. I'm pretty agnostic, to be honest with you, but
okay.
I fall about as opposite of you on this as I can, because I generally don't much care about handheld gaming almost at all. I want dedicated handhelds, like something like the DS or whatever, to go away completely.
Interesting.
And by that I don't mean handheld games. I mean dedicated ones, where well, that's a bad way to put that. One where it has its own specific games. That's bad. We don't want that. Like a handheld version of an Xbox or a PlayStation, whatever, is a much better option. That way, you know, if you don't want to play them handheld, you can still play them, you know, on your console or whatever. Because I want to look at a TV or a monitor or whatever. I don't want to look at this tiny little thing. But I wanted to address something specifically that Kevin said, which was that he finds the Switch in handheld mode to be rather uncomfortable. To which I couldn't agree more with that. I'll be honest with you, I have only ever found two total handhelds that I ever thought was even remotely comfortable. The first is actually the Portal, and it's only because it's basically just a DualShock or a DualSense. I mean, if it wasn't like the PSP and the Vita, I both found massively uncomfortable. But that, since it's got the same ergonomics of a DualSense controller, it is. And then not the Switch per se, because I do find that uncomfortable. But I got this goofy ass thing. I forget what it's called. It's like a Fixture S2 or something like that, which lets you can see it's got I can use the Pro controller, and then it's got the Switch screen on there, so I can actually I'm trying to get on camera here, so I can actually hold it like that. And it's actually,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's actually pretty comfortable. That's a little bit heavy because you have to kind of adjust the screen so that the weight's not pulling it backwards. But basically, the fact that it has the ergonomics that way of the Pro controller makes it more comfortable than the crappy ass Joy-Cons. But yeah, no, I am, and I will, as long as I live, I will never play mobile. If it's the only way to play games, then I just won't play games anymore, because it is not a place I want to play. It's not a place I like. I don't want to use my phone for that.
Interesting.
I can't stand mobile gaming. So
interesting, huh? And yet, do you feel like you're out of the loop?
No.
On it?
I totally believe that that's a more common opinion than people think it is. I understand that mobile gaming is big. I believe there is a very, very large contingency of the existing player base that 100% agrees with me that would rather not play things than play them on phones. So I don't believe that's... I'm not saying it's going away. That's not what I mean. But I totally do not agree with anyone that says that regular gaming is going away in place of mobile. I don't think that'll ever happen, because if it does, you're going to lose a large part of your actual player base then.
Gotcha. I don't think it's going to go away either, but we're talking about the newer generation, and more people are looking towards the newer generation with gaming. And you're talking about a big player base. You're talking about us old people and everything.
Right. What's the largest demographic of gamers? It is not 15-year-olds. It is between 30 and 60, I believe, and it is by a large amount that is the largest thing. So if you piss them off to the point they leave, you've got no audience. I'm not saying the kids don't exist gaming, because they do, but the reality is
the money.
You cannot get rid of.
Talking about, but I'm going to say, everyone I've been listening to talking about, they're not always targeting us; they're targeting their future. And a lot of kids are playing more mobile games, and they're playing more on their phone, on tablets, on Steam Decks or ROG Ally. Not many kids I know have an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Yeah, for now, but I played a lot on my Game Boy when I was a kid, and as soon as I had money, I had a console or a PC.
We're also seeing games. Oh, sorry, Silkenet, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just on the handheld on my side, I have a Switch, I have a Steam Deck, but I really use them when I'm out, when I'm traveling. I never use them home, because if I'm home, I have access to my TV, my PC. If I'm in bed, it's to read or sleep. So I don't have a use for handheld at home at all. I have better options. That's my point of view. But I like that it's an option, and I really hope that more handheld with native capabilities come out with better competition than just the Ally or the Steam Deck.
So I'm thinking about, I'm processing everything you guys are saying, and one of the things that I think about when I process my desire for a mobile device, or when I play on my backbone, and it's not for graphics intensive, physics intensive, competitive games. I'm not looking to exchange my Series X or my PlayStation 5 or anything like that in favor of a Steam Deck, or in favor of a ROG Ally or a G Cloud, or any other way of playing on the phone. Something as simple and affordable as playing on a backbone, which is something I'm an advocate for. I did play was it Lords of the Fallen this summer on my phone for a good amount of that game. But I do think that for me, the appeal is when I want to play those platformers, when I want to play those side-scrolling beat 'em ups or more approachable, simpler games. And again, I go to Nissa, who enjoys Disney Dreamlight Valley. Like, that's a perfect mobile experience, I think. And mobile can be a dirty word, to Rick's point, but I think it's less a dirty word now. And I'm not talking about ecosystems of economics and monies like microtransactions. I'm talking about just gaming, right? And so that's how I think of the ROG Ally, the Steam Deck, the everything else. It's a supplementary way to play. And it is a simple pick up and go device in the case of the Steam Deck and the G Cloud. And then to a little bit lesser extent, because you get more features, the ROG Ally. And so, you know, we're starting this like, is this an Xbox Series on XEP? And I just finished the MetaQuest review, which I'm editing now. And like, that's a terrible way to play Xbox only, but it's a great supplementary way to do so. That's how I think of it. I'm curious if you guys fall in line there. Logan, that is a giant link that you put in chat.
That is. I actually was about to say that a lot of, I think, what we think of as mobile games has dramatically changed over the last 10 years, I would argue, that the predatory nature of loot boxes are still somewhat present, though a lot of legislation has been passed to try and mitigate some of the predatory nature behind that. Not to say that it's gone, but just to say that it's a little more something that's regulated a little bit better. You know the odds of stuff nowadays, but also the caliber of games. Like, we're seeing games like full-fledged native downloaded games onto phones that are console games, like Resident Evil 4 Remake and stuff. So the idea of what a quote-unquote mobile game, I think that paradigm needs to shift away from the mentality that it's the Angry Birds and it's the Fruit Ninjas and stuff nowadays, and that the experiences you can get, yeah, they're mobile. I can play Witcher 3 and Skyrim on my Switch. I can play, you know, those types of games on my phone. I can play them on tablets, and there's nothing that detracts from the quality of those games. They're still really good games. It just depends on where the market is and how many people are going to want to use that screen as their main way to consume that content. And I think it's wherever you feel the most comfortable with the screen, which is why I think Xbox is kind of leading the way when it comes to deciding that where you want to have your content consumed is the most important factor, not necessarily what controller you're using or what device you have it kind of synced up to. It's just wherever you feel like you're enjoying the content more. That's all I had.
No, it was good. It was a good point. I think we're all just waiting, like, who should jump in. Does anyone have a counterpoint?
No, just
I was gonna say,
good.
Yeah.
So can it then Nissa?
Okay, sorry.
You're good.
Oh, just saying, more options is good. Like, and there is, and I personally differentiate mobile gaming, which is the Angry Birds, the Candy Crush, etc., and playing on a mobile device.
That's a good point. That's a good call out.
For me, it's not the same.
That's a good call out. Yeah, so what do you want to say?
I was going to go off of what Logan was saying. I saw Gris and Dead Cells and a few other games in the Play Store, like earlier this year. Earlier this month or earlier in October. And I'm like, interesting, because then I saw them on Xbox Game Pass as well. So it's like more and more games that we would mostly think would be on the console are in, like, you know, the Play Store.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. No, you're absolutely right, and I see that myself as well, because I was championing a lot of mobile games, not handheld games, but mobile games like Call of Duty Mobile and such for a good while with my Backbone. And then, you know, I see Gentlestone in chat saying I use my phone for whoever that is loud. I can't tell who it is. That I can use my phone for Joule and Subway Surfer and time occupiers, not games. That's fair, but I think Joule and Subway Surfers are games. They're just a different breed. Like I play a mobile game that nobody's heard of, but it's just a match 3 DC Heroes game. That's what I like to play. Something there. Cyberito in chat saying, I love to see the comparison between top exclusive mobile games versus popular ports like Balatro, Minecraft, Stardew Valley. Good points and call outs there for sure. Good points and call outs there. Anybody else want to weigh in on the mobile versus handheld approach currently?
Anubis has been quiet.
I'll throw in my 2 cents.
Yeah.
So let's look at it as a business perspective. Like everybody, like nobody's opinion was wrong. It's just we can conclude it and kind of mesh it all together as a business. So, there is always going to be that driving demographic, which we'll call the hardcore gamers. And the hardcore gamers will not be mobile only or portable only. The hardcore gamers will want the most powerful possible stuff and the best specs and all that good stuff. And they will want the console experience. As Logan was saying, there's also the hardcore gamers who will have the supplementary portable consoles, and that's where we're gonna also be the driving force for things like the ROG Ally, because the ROG Ally is not your normal mobile gaming demographic. That is your hardcore gamer demographic that wants to kind of dip their toes into this option. But we know for a long time now there's a lot of serious money involved when you get into mobile gaming. And everybody has seen the massive success of the Nintendo Switch and wants to replicate that. The fact is, in the gaming industry at least, you've got your hardcore demographic is driving things, but the money is the casuals. And the casuals like their casual phone games. The casuals like all these little simple things. The casuals don't need Call of Duty to be 60 frames, 4K or whatever. They'll just play the game. And if that's on a phone, then that's fine with them. And so we have all these options, which is good. And we're getting to get more and more options to accommodate everybody. Accommodate is one way to say it. The other way to say it is a business wants to get as many consumers as possible for all the money. And so that's what they're going for is, if we're specifically talking like Xbox, then they want to figure out how do we get all these markets. Like, we still haven't gotten to that world yet, which I'm a little surprised. We haven't gotten into that world yet where the Xbox discourse has talked about the king part of that ABK deal. It's got to be coming because that wasn't the buzz that everyone cared about. Everyone cared about Call of Duty. I do think at some point the buzz will talk about just how effective getting more and more into the mobile gaming market for Xbox, just how profitable that is going to be.
I don't think Microsoft wants people to be reminded they have King.
No, I'm not. Yeah, I agree. They're not trying to shout that from the rooftops, but they're gonna get that money, and someone's gonna notice at some point, and something big is gonna hit.
The FTC has.
So I have a small point to that I wanted to make to add on to what you were just saying, because you're right. It's specifically about there being a lot of money there. However, there's a very important asterisk to that. There's a lot of money for a very, 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 very exclusive group of developers. Yes, if your game gets big, it is huge. You have about, unless you're someone like King or whatever that's already established, you have about a 1/1,000,000th of a percent of a chance of getting there. Because the mobile market monetarily has proven to be an absolute nothing unless you get that big game. If you get it, you're in good shape. But the most of the money in that space is spent on the same, I don't know, 10, 15 games. And meanwhile, there's got to be hundreds of thousands of games in that space at this point. So that's the problem, is you take a major risk doing that. If it pays off big, but there's a very, 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 very good chance that it's not going to, and you're just going to end up losing money on it.
I would argue, and I have no factual evidence to back this up, but I would argue, I think the low barrier to entry for a mobile game is why that number would be so skewed to, you have such a small % chance of hitting it big. But we're not talking about the person who in 2020, when they had nothing else to do, decided, I'm going to start making a phone game and seeing if that hits, and I'm going to just invest X amount of hours and see what I can do, and if I get lucky, I get lucky. I'm talking about a major publisher and major developer like Microsoft or King or whatever. I'd be curious to see what their ratio is on hits for successes, which I have no idea what that is.
I can give you a very good example of how tenuous this can be. Nintendo tried it with what was it called, Mario Run or whatever.
There was Mario Run.
They tried.
I love that game.
It's supposed to be great. I'm not arguing that fact at all. It was a complete bomb because people didn't want to pay $10 for it. I think
was it profitable?
Counterpoint.
I don't believe so. I think
I
think it's why Nintendo totally pulled it.
They did have a game that was amazingly successful, though, and it had tons and tons of microtransactions, and that's why the hook was in that game. Huh?
Was it a Pokemon game? I don't know.
No, it was a Fire Emblem, I think.
Oh, I remember learning about that.
It was I can't remember. I can't remember the name, but there was like 3 games that had come out, and it was like Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, Mario Run, and this like third one that was like a Fire Emblem game. And the Fire Emblem game came out in financial reports to just destroy both, and it was all because of the microtransactions.
Yeah,
I'll see if I can look it up.
So I mean, if you look at Nintendo. All right, so let's say Mario Run was a fail. I don't know, but okay, let's say it was a bomb. But maybe they made like 5 games, and at least 2 of them are huge successes. Because I'm including Pokemon Go in there, and that's a huge success. But then that Fire Emblem thing. So if you have the big boys come into play, you have a much higher percentage of hitting it big. And again, I don't need them to make trillions. I just need them to be profitable. And I think that can come easy enough.
I found it. It was Dragalia Lost. They did have a Pokemon Heroes game or a Fire Emblem game that was Heroes. It did up to 100 million, about 10 times more reported than Super Mario Run within the first year. It had nearly up to 300 million in revenue across Sensor Tower. And that was 2017. Dragalia Lost, which is the one I was thinking of, is 2018. The game generated over 100 million in revenue, but it was shut down in 2022, shortly after it launched. So they did really well, but Nintendo didn't want to.
Does it say what profit was? I mean, obviously it didn't cost 100 million to make. I just don't know what the difference would be there.
The wiki does not have that information, unfortunately.
I mean, it obviously was profitable to some extent. I just don't know how profitable.
Yeah, as far as I remember from when I was like really keyed in on how their mobile structure was going, the test to see if people would pay for a mobile game right out failed miserably. More and more mobile people were willing to spend smaller amounts of money on microtransactions for a free game than just outward. So it was more of a market test that it turned into a failure as opposed to like the quality of the game. But yeah, it didn't do well because people weren't interested in playing a few levels and then having to spend $10 for the full game.
There you go.
I did have a question for Anubis though, because you brought up an interesting point about King being absent in a lot of the discussions with the Xbox Activision Blizzard King deal.
Yeah.
We just recently saw news that Sarah Bond had put out that the Google store was prohibiting, to an extent, the Xbox app from being able to be sold, circumnavigating the 30% cut that Google takes out of any of the purchases that are made from apps on their store. It would not surprise me if they tried to do something where they leveraged King's IP and profitability to push that. And maybe that's why Google doesn't want to necessarily have something go out of the 30% that they take from games like Candy Crush and Clash of Clans.
Yeah.
Just food for thought. What do you think, Luke?
What's the core question? I'm missing the question.
There's not so much a question, just that there's evidence that we may start seeing that King aspect to the Activision Blizzard deal start being brought up a little bit more if Google seems to be a little more hesitant to let Xbox have their app within their store and get around having to pay the full 30% tax for any app that's on Google's Play Store.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
They have some big leverage there. I don't feel like Microsoft is aggressive enough in this domain. They're trying to be too nice. I love Phil Spencer, but he is too nice. And so like you make a very good point. Like they could be like, all right, get rid of this 30%, or we're gonna just take Candy Crush off of your devices. They could do something. They have these powerful games, and they could hurt, and they would hurt themselves, but they could do that.
A lot more than they hurt them. They lose 70% of that revenue.
I know. I mean, it might just be a bluff, and then it would have to be called. I don't know, but I'm just to go further with what Logan was saying. Like, they do have cards in their hand that they could play if they wanted to.
They do. So there was a point where I wanted them to play those cards, and I was pushing for it. I think a lot of Xbox fans, like a lot of Xbox content creators, were like, yes, you've got COD, you've got Bethesda, swing some of that weight around, get your consoles sales back up. And Xbox has seemed largely disinterested in doing that, and instead getting their content in as many places as possible for as many gamers as possible. And I will whisper, I guess, quietly acknowledge that I'm really coming around on that philosophy, and I'm completely okay with it now. Is that something that you guys feel similar about, or do you feel like that's a mistake?
I switched to PC after the Xbox One because of that philosophy already. So
that drove you away in some ways.
No, they showed that philosophy like years ago. It's not new. Like, people act surprised to this is an Xbox ad, but they've been saying that since Game Pass. When Game Pass launched with xCloud on beta, that's what we are going to. So when I saw that all the Xbox games were coming to PC through the Xbox app, I didn't buy an Xbox Series.
But now
and I play all the same games.
Whereas I bought two.
See,
I made up for sucking it.
You made fun.
But so like he's not, but he hasn't left Xbox, and that's the point. No. Is he is still very much their consumer. Yeah, it's I'm gonna do a side tangent, humble brag, because it reminds me of, I had this question posed to me. Through a friend, I got invited to go to the Halo 2 Paramount premiere, and by chance, the person who sat next to me, because all the seats were randomized, I didn't even get to sit next to my friend, but the person who sat next to me was Paris Lilly. And that was really cool. And at this time, this was like February, at this time, we were a couple days after learning the Xbox games are going on to PlayStation. It hadn't officially been talked about yet, but it was that everybody knew it was happening. And he asked me, he was like, how do you feel about it? And so in a similar way, to bring it back around to relevant, how you're asking, how do we feel about the whole just play the games, it doesn't matter. I agree with let everyone play anywhere, no rules. I'm not a fan of exclusives. However, understand the power that you've got. And I specifically mentioned that to him in the sense of like Halo. He was like, how would you feel about Halo going? And I was like, I would be happy to let other people play this best game of all time series. But if you're Microsoft, don't just give it away for free, because you like, what are you getting out of you got to just think it through, and you don't want to risk losing your goodwill. And well, you wouldn't really lose goodwill, but Twitter is a weird place. But you might damage the brand a bit. And so that's my only caveat to that, is like, I fully support, let them play anywhere, whatever they want, doesn't matter. Just don't weaken your brand by doing it.
Nubis, I got a question. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nis. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I kind of disagree that they're going to weaken it. I think it's going to strengthen it, because they'll have people who want to play different games, different places, because it'll be more open to people like me who are always on the go, and they would love to play their Xbox, but bringing a big, huge Xbox to the office or out in I do outreach out in the field would be like kind of silly and everything. Or people who do a lot of traveling for their jobs. I know that's a very small percentage, but it's opening it up to a bunch of different people. And it's opening up to the younger, like I was talking about earlier, the younger generation as well, because they're always on the go. They're always playing in different places and everything too.
Yeah, I mean, exactly to your point. What you just said is their goal. That's the whole reason they're doing all this, is to strengthen the brand. What I was saying is not necessarily that it will, is that is my worry, and so that's just the fine line they've got to walk.
Yeah.
But I agree that is Microsoft's goal. The whole reason for doing all of this is to strengthen the brand. Logan, what did you have?
Actually, I was going to say exactly what was said, so that actually kind of covered my comment. I do think that it is going to become one of those things where the idea that Xbox is promoting is very much that they may have lost the digital library war when it came to the Xbox One and the PS4 era. But I do think that at least having the best deal in gaming and then putting that everywhere is going to add brand recognition to their name. If people open up their TV, open up their tablet, open up their phone, and see there's an Xbox ad for an app there, and that is how they can access that content, I think that's going to really do wonders for them in an age where, unless you own a PS5, you're not playing those games, and the small chance that you're a PC gamer and have Steam kind of thing, But that was just kind of my little 2 cents that I wanted to kind of add on to what was already said.
I know you guys probably want to go to Rick and suck in it, but I just had a new client, an 89-year-old lady. She has a PlayStation 5. She likes to play Tomb Raider. Awesome. I wish my
cool
goal
lady.
is to be her. My goal is to be her when I get all that age. But she found out, her and her son found out on their new huge TV. You guys would love this TV. It's too big for me. But that there's an Xbox app on the TV. And I told them about Game Pass. And she's like, what? Game Pass? I'm like, yeah, you can try out a bunch of different games. Even Tomb Raider.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And she got. Did they get excited? Were they interested?
Yes, she was very excited. She's like, "Ah!" But I couldn't talk about it too much because I had to do an intake paperwork. So maybe
Gotcha.
down the road I can tell you guys more.
Still, that's cool though. That's still very cool. Just to think that like you gave her that option. So that's fun.
Yeah,
that's really cool. That's really cool. Well, does anyone else have comments on this topic before we move on? All right, I'm taking the silence as a go ahead. I was curious, what games did you guys play through the month of November that you wanted to celebrate or spotlight? I have one that I want to spotlight that I haven't really, or two, I guess you would say, but I spent a lot of time on XEP spotlighting them both. And so I'd really like to hear what you guys have been playing. And Anubis, if you don't mind starting us off here, what have you been enjoying in the month of November that is now taking us into this December?
To start it off, see, I don't know if I want to say too much because I have the goal of being on for the community game of the year thing.
Okay.
And so I've been playing the crap out of like Avatar and Star Wars Outlaws, and I'm going to be talking about that. I mean, I've been talking about that. I've been very vocal in the Discord. I bought actually the friend who got me the hookup for the Paramount thing. I bought him Avatar because it was $20, and I've been telling him to buy it forever, and he keeps like not doing it. And I'm like, $20, you're getting this game. But yeah, Avatar is absolutely my game of the year. I love it so much. But yeah, so I don't want to talk everyone's ear off of that quite yet. I'll bore you with that.
But you are confident that right now Avatar is your game of the year.
It absolutely is. Their expansions are legit. I was not expecting their expansions to be legit expansions. I thought I feel like for a long time, a lot of games when they have season passes, you'll get like the one media expansion, and then you'll get like the little trickles, like here's a couple missions. And that's what I was expecting. The first expansion, which came out in June, was a large area which focused on my favorite animal in that universe. And it was a cool extra story plot. And then now I'm working through this last one, which just came out like a week ago, and it's a whole nother area, which I really, because they talk about being in like the floating islands area, and there are floating islands in the main game. So I was like, all right, they're just going to kind of give me new missions in this area that to do more in. But no, it's a whole new set of floating islands with all these cool things, giant dandelions and stuff. And I'm now getting better with my Ekron, or the flying pterodactyl banshee things. Like now I'm getting upgrades on combat and armor and stuff. And so it is absolutely evolving the game, and it's just continuing to be a blast. And so I've been doing that. And then that in Disney Dreamlight Valley, they had their big expansion. So I've been doing that a bunch. That's kind of just like a grind game for me right now. It's not, the story isn't driving me. It's just the fact that I want all the cool stuff, and I'm just having fun getting all the new decorations and having little baby Pegasus fly around. So I'm having my fun with that. Yep. And the dragons, I've successfully, I think I've tamed one, but I haven't. I've been opening the Pegasus area first, so I haven't gotten too much of the dragons yet. But yeah, I mean that's been my November, is Avatar. Oh, and Star Wars Outlaws, so they just had their DLC. I tell you, man, I'm gonna say this again in the next community thing, but this Ubisoft is the developer of this year, and you can have an opinion, but it's a wrong opinion.
Wow, okay.
And I mean that all jokingly with a little seriousness there, but like Ubisoft has absolutely killed it this year, in my opinion. Their DLC, now I was seeing some people complain about their DLC being a bit too short, but I guess again, going back to, I had that mindset where they probably have like a smaller DLC and a larger DLC. I wasn't really expecting too much, but it was a fun new mission, and it got me back into Star Wars Outlaws. And then I decided, once I beat that, I was like, well, I guess I'm going to go do some other things that I never got around to doing because I was just really enjoying the game. Plus, it launched with the new update, and so now I was able to have a more fun experience. I was able to see some of the differences, like the shooting is better. It feels more impactful. The fact that I can actually carry a gun around now is quite a big difference too. So it was very fun.
I noticed a lot of improvements myself, if I'm just being honest, but that's just me. Rick, what have you been playing?
Well, so it's kind of gone through a bit of a pattern because I've been on vacation this week, so I kind of held a few things until I was on vacation. I did end up finishing the main story to Elden Ring. I was basically at the final boss anyway, but I did finish it. I finished Stellar Blade on Sunday, I think it was, and mostly the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. I've been playing Stalker, which I figured Logan and I would probably tag team that one a little bit, as I assume we're probably the only ones in here that have played it. And also we played it on PC, so we played the better version by a mile. I did play some Outlaws, which I'm sorry, Anubis, I got to disagree with you. That game was a disaster until about a week ago. I wanted to like it. I convinced myself that I did, and the more I played it, I didn't. But it is much, much, much better now with this update. This is the state it should have launched in, and had it launched like this, I don't think Ubisoft would be in nearly the issue they're in. But also he mentioned about Avatar, and I actually, as I mentioned, I bought that on PC. I don't know, last week, something like that, because it was on the Steam sale. So I had it already. I had it on Xbox, but I've been jumping back in on it. And a lot of Dragon Age Veilguard, which I know Silkenet has also played. But that the main ones have been Stalker, Dragon Age, and a little bit of Avatar recently. That's kind of been mainly what I've been playing.
Talk about Stalker, and Logan, jump in with him as well, because I do want to hear more about Stalker, because we had this. It's an Xbox exclusive. This is going to lead Game Pass. It's this big time, and then you combine that with Xbox moving Avowed into next year because the window is too crowded, and Call of Duty's launching around, and Stalker, this big pillar exclusive, timed exclusive or otherwise, but currently exclusive in the same way Stellar Blade existed, is now there. So I'm curious if you guys could just elaborate more on your time and where you think it ranks among kind of the best in its genre.
Well, it ranks best in its genre because it's the only thing in its genre. Because it's not
even Metro.
It's nothing like Metro.
Okay.
Exodus is probably the closest to it, and it's still nothing like it at all.
Okay.
To be honest with you, the closest game to Stalker is probably Escape from Tarkov, except without the whatever you want to call it, the extraction aspect, and without being a multiplayer game. Because it is, I don't want to say it's a military sim because it's not, but it does make attempts at having fairly realistic, weaponry and all that stuff. They're not technically licensed, but every one of them you can tell what they are. Like they don't try to fake, what kind of guns they're actually modeled after. But it's as much of a shooter as it is also that much of a survival game. Not in terms of like, setting up camps and sleeping and stuff like that, but in terms of scavenging for supplies and making sure that you have food, making sure that you have, ammo is pretty limited, making sure that you're exploring, like, best way to describe it, the best thing I can compare it to outside of Tarkov is, oddly enough, probably Avatar Frontiers of Pandora, because whereas that game, and bear with me here, there's a little explaining to get this. When you look at Avatar, it looks just like Far Cry, except in Avatar, right? But that's not what it is. It's like 1/3 that, 1/3 exploring Pandora, and 1/3 like cooking and maintaining, whatever. So that's kind of where I come down on that. It's Stalker. It's maybe 35 to 40% a shooter, like 20 to 25% like exploring the zone. Actually, probably more than that, to be honest with you. And then a little bit more of like survival and maintenance of your gear and stuff like that. And it's why they are so well liked, and why Stalker 2 in particular, from the Stalker fan base, has been like so eagerly anticipated because there really is just nothing else like it. So it really is its own thing. And anything set in Chernobyl is a good setting.
You like that? Okay.
I love Chernobyl settings.
Interesting. I'm 2-3 days away, like by this weekend. While you guys are playing Indie, I'll probably be playing Metro Awakening in VR, which again, you said it's nothing like it, but
I never played Awakening. Well, okay, so understand Metro 2033 was made by people that left GSC Game World back in 2010 or whatever, and then they started 4A Games, which is why there looks to be a connective tissue, but they don't play anything alike.
Gotcha.
Metro is based on Metro 2033, 2034, and 2035 by, I don't remember his name, but now I know Ellery has mentioned many times that Stalker is based off of a book from like the 70s, which I know nothing about.
It is.
Yeah, but so there is some connective tissue, but they do not play alike almost at all. Metro until Exodus is very linear. Again, I can't speak to Awakening, but I assume it's linear. What with being a VR game,
it is. But as we're 2033 and 4, whatever the previous Last Light and
2033 is the first and the Last Light's the second one. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. They were all fairly linear with some exploration. Exodus was more wide linear, kind of like Gears of War 5.
Exodus was definitely the closest to Stalker, but it still is nothing like Stalker.
Gotcha. It's just that Russian, Ukrainian, Chernobyl like vibe that I guess I get from it. So, all right. Logan, when you hear him talk about it, do you find similar emotions?
I do, yeah. I mean, I think it's oddly harder than it really needed to be.
Damn bloodsucker.
Yeah,
I think it's ruthless.
Dude, it's unnecessarily like cruel at the beginning. Like I started out at Stalker mode because I usually start games on normal and just kind of feel it out from there. After I died twice and finally figured out how to like use a flashlight, I restarted the game on like the Recruit, which is their version of just story mode, and started to push through it. And I was like, oh, I get it. This is like PUBG or Escape from Tarkov as far as like mechanics go. But to me, it feels like more like a Fallout game where I'm walking around, picking stuff up, maintaining my stats, and just going out and talking to different people to help out with quests and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, this is just a more realistic take on like what Fallout would be if Fallout wasn't set in this kind of fictional post-apocalyptic nuclear waste world, And I think a lot of people that play those games will probably find something that they enjoy about them in Stalker 2, which is why I think it deserves getting the time that it deserves. Just one, for the amount of effort that the dev studio put into it, and the work that they've then gone in to do and try and shore up some of the major bugs that they couldn't get to before launch. Playing on PC,
they put a lot of bug fixes out just last week.
They did, yeah.
There's another patch today, actually.
Another one.
They needed to. It's definitely one of those games that there was a lot that was kind of troubling it, and I think the consoles bore the brunt of that. Unfortunately, as most of the time, it's kind of the conversation. Anubis was we were kind of talking about a little bit about the joys of having a console and not having to worry about so much like how are the settings, what kind of like requirements am I going to need. The benefit of having a PC is when you just throw everything into a tower that is top of the line, it does not matter how many bugs are in a game. Most of those will get ironed out just out of sheer hardware, like just sheer power. So that is one of those things where once I got the driver set up for Stalker 2, once I got the settings locked in, it was cake. It felt good. I got out of the darkness. I got to run around during the day. I went and helped out people. I rescued someone. I shot people. I picked up ammo. Did all the things that you would expect out of a normal open world shooter game. And it's fun. It's a really interesting world and where it's set. I think I like it a little bit more than what I would normally like call like the Escape from Tarkov. The whole getting in and getting out aspect of that loses its sheen after a while with me. I don't know. It could just be like the nature of like, just, not having something that's going to like continue a story, I guess would be the best way. This has a story, which I appreciate. So overall, I'm having a good time with Stalker. I think a lot of people are going to overlook it because of those initial issues, which is a shame because it's right before indie, and even with the fixes that they've got into the game now, it's too close to another major Game Pass release for, I think, people to want to spend time to go into it, unless it's something that they're specifically setting out to go and do. You know what I mean?
Well, the biggest issue right now is that its largest selling feature is not working correctly. And that is, they call it the A Live system, which is essentially so in this game, all right, you can kill anybody you want, including like quest clearers. You can just shoot them if you want, right? And the world reacts to everything that you do. The world in this is alive and does its own things. Like you might have a random group of blind dogs, is what they're called. You might just have a random group of them like attack the city. Like it doesn't, it doesn't like put a border up to prevent things like that from happening. Yeah, a military caravan might come through and just randomly attack someone you would normally be talking to. So you can basically, maybe with the exception of the main quests, you can pass or fail any quest. And like this A Live system is how it all works. I mean, it's obviously quite complex. It was in the original game, and this is supposed to be a more advanced version. But apparently, leading up to the release of 2, they obviously had a lot of bugs they had to work on, considering it launched with a lot of bugs. And I'm a little fuzzy on the details, but I want to say they put a patch together. But in doing this, it completely broke the system to the point they had to essentially neuter it for what it really is. And I guess, without getting overly technical, the way that it works is like wherever you are, it has like a perimeter around you of however much distance that it activates the AI, right? Like they're out in the world, but they're essentially, they call them offline. When you get to within this thing, it activates them and brings them online. Well, something about all these bugs when they were trying to fix them, it was making it that like people were like spawning in the sky and falling on the ground and stuff like that, which I assume was probably killing them. So they had to greatly reduce the distance that this works as of now to the point that it's not doing what it's supposed to do. And this has all been, just to be clear, this has all been confirmed by GSC. This is not just someone talking out of their ass. And they are working on it. They said they're going to get it to where it needs to be. But the biggest issue is right now it's not actually performing the way that the game is meant to. It does everything else great, like because the old Stalker games really didn't have the greatest shooting mechanics, whereas they are quite good in this, I think. But so hopefully they'll get there sooner rather than later. But it does sound like that's something that might take some time, and that's when the real, true Stalker experience becomes available, is once that system's up and running again.
I've actually been having a good enough time without that, not even knowing it was broken.
I am too. I'm just saying, like, that is like they would be that much better if it actually was working.
Yeah, I could see that.
I have a question. I didn't 16. know about that. Whatever you called it, mechanic, where like random. Live. Yeah. So you're saying, so it's kind of like the NPCs are just living their lives, doing their thing, right?
Yeah. Yes, but in a significantly more advanced way than what we've seen in like Bethesda games, for example. Like,
so my question is,
that's a low bar.
Did you guys play Dragon's Dogma?
Yes, and it's
is it similar in that same sense of like everyone's living their life doing their own thing?
It's significantly more advanced than that. And it's not so much living their life as in like, going through a routine through the day, but like, okay, here's an example. And this I know for a fact is not working right now. So let's say you go to the first town, it's called like Lucia or something like that, and some dude gives you a side quest to take out 5 bandits, right? And you go, I'm gonna go mess around on this side of the map instead, which, to be clear, the map in this game is enormous. It's about double the size of Skyrim, just as comparison. So you just say you go wander to the far east or whatever instead. In this system, it is theoretically possible where by the time you could come back, some other random AI stalker could have actually completed this mission. So you actually would not be able to do it. Somebody else would have killed them. Somebody else would have collected the bounty. Again, this wouldn't happen with a main quest, but with any of the like emergent. Like Stalker almost is the game that created the emergent gameplay, if that term means anything to you.
Interesting.
And again, like I said, you can address almost any side quest by saying, you know what, I don't trust this guy, and you shoot him, and that could be the right decision, or that could come back to haunt you because maybe a group of, there's all kind of factions in this game, right? Maybe he's part of some faction that later they come and hunt you down while you're trying to do something, and it's pretty insane, like actually how in depth this is. It is why Stalker became such a cult phenomenon back on PC.
Yeah.
And yes, Glintstone is correct. It's partly why it just eats CPUs alive right now.
Do you think more people are going to play Indie or Stalker?
Stalker.
Interesting.
The question is on console or PC?
PC alone, I think, will make it that Stalker will have more people playing it.
Are we talking like just pure Xbox or because I mean, as far as I know, Stalker 2 is on every. No, never mind.
It will be, but it's not yet.
Yeah, both
right.
will go other places.
That's right.
It's a 3-month exclusivity window that leaked with the when Microsoft revealed all the information.
I would say you'd have to put a lot of caveats on that. Like a Stalker really probably might have more because it has that established base already on PC, and it was a Game Pass title. Because in my head I was like, well, Indiana Jones is on Game Pass, but it's like no, okay, so they were both on Game Pass, so they've both got that working for them. But I think Stalker's difficulty would make it so that if you exclude the tutorial, because you guys are telling me the tutorial is really hard. I've not even attempted.
It's hard for me. Sorry, you run into two things and it's really dark. That's
the game is very, very dark at night.
Well, okay, so but with how difficult the Stalker franchise is known for being, I think that's going to scare a lot of people away more than Indiana Jones. So I would think I guess I'll say it this way, a larger percentage will complete Indiana Jones than Stalker.
No question about that for sure.
Yeah.
You're muted, Luke.
You're muted, Luke.
I can't help him on that.
He just kept going.
My eyes. Yeah, I just kept going. Like the per capita amount of people that play will start and finish Indie versus the people that start Stalker and abandon.
Yeah, I think the abandon rate on Stalker will be a lot higher. Well, I mean, we already know like there's already a pretty high percentage, especially, I mean, that's part of Game Pass though. It's the beauty of Game Pass is a high percentage who aren't a fan of this genre can try it and drop it at a whim. So there will already be a fair amount of people not completing Indiana Jones. That's just a given. But I think a higher percentage will get further because of how hard Stalker is.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, but not necessarily because of the difficulty. That's going to play a part, but it's more because people that play Stalker largely aren't playing it for the story. Like you do play through the story, because it gets you closer to different areas, stuff like that. But most of that game does involve just kind of freewheeling it anyway. The story quests are just kind of there to do, like, it's not quite as much as a Bethesda game where everybody just says like, yeah, I don't care about the main story at all. Yeah. But the main story is not the draw to these at all. So I definitely agree that you're just by default you're gonna have more people that finish, or more percentage that finishes Indie, because that is the only real driving point of that game. So
I found out the numbers on Stalker 2 on Steam right now are dwindling, but they do tend to drop. It's been fluctuating somewhere between 30 to 60,000 on Steam, with the all-time peak about 9 days ago at 121,000 on Steam alone. So
a large part of that number dropping is that A-Live thing. I know that for a fact. There's a lot of people that have said they're just going to, at this point, wait until it's fixed, because it's why they're playing. I'm not saying everybody, but like that is a major reason why that number dropped. I think you'll see it jump sky high again once they fix it.
Very interesting.
So have you had a chance to talk about a game that you've been playing?
Not yet.
Hit me.
So I started the month by finishing Metaphor Refantasio. So I put that behind me, and I spent almost all my November playing Dragon Age.
Playing, what was it again?
Dragon Age Velgard.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I finished yesterday. And when I reached the end, I finally came back to some of my indie games I was waiting for, namely The Rise of the Golden Idol, the sequel to The Case of the Golden Idol. It's a puzzle deduction game with a very distinctive art style.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of it. Like, I launched Stalker 2 to see how it runs. I launched Flight Sim 24 just to see how it runs. I'll put more time in them during the holidays.
Mm-hmm.
Because on Friday, it's not Stalker, it's not Indiana Jones that will have the most players. It's Path of Exile 2.
Oh, you think so?
Yes.
I mean, that's fair. Path of Exile's been something a lot of Diablo fans have been looking at and talking about. The coverage from the dev team has been massive. They've been
last week they are everywhere with interviews. For the last week,
they've been putting out a ton. I mean, I'm watching streamers that don't even that have barely jumped into Diablo that play other games that have been watching videos of Path of Exile. So it's like, I think that's going to be the sleeper.
I played Path of Exile too. I played that.
That's what I will be playing. And when the servers go down because there is too much people, I'll play Indiana Jones.
You just have it booted up on the side just in case.
Yeah, that's why you have two screens.
You're like, it's cute, it's fine, we're good. Let's go, Indy.
Let's see. I feel like have we all covered something we're playing? Logan, you and I got to talk on XEP proper. Do you want to briefly mention?
Hello.
Yeah. Yes, I did.
I swore you talk about. Oh, you were talking about what you played on your ROG Ally. That's my bad. I apologize.
I was playing. I finished Flintlock finally. I had to cheat with the last. I had to cheat with the last boss and turn on infinite health. Because that last boss is like Logan, you can understand this because you played it. Like the last boss, you're doing what you're supposed to, and then it jumps, and then you're like, where the heck is it? And then once you find it, it's like it hits you, and then it jumps, and then it's just confusing. That's all the other bosses were a lot easier than that one and everything, especially in the last phase of that boss. So I just turned on infinite health and I beat the crap out of it. So, and I have been playing a lot of Dreamlight Valley. I got into Banishers a little bit, and I started a little bit of Stalker, but with the time I have, and I've been helping my mom with. My mom makes wreaths every year, and this time of year, I'm always helping her because I'm her tallest daughter. Go and clip things and get ribbon for her wreath. Like my whole Sunday next week is going to be like driving to Burlington and going somewhere and getting ribbon for like a couple hours. Yay! But it's I'll put the pictures in the Discord when she's done with the wreath.
Yeah,
but I can't like this with my job. I can't always go into a game and then start playing because then I have to stop and everything. So I've been going into a lot of different games and but I beat the storybook veiled DLC. I like to shout out to my brother Spencer and his wife Melanie and my niece and nephew Cooper and Chelsea because they actually gave me the money for an early Christmas gift to buy the DLC so that I could get it because I got the magical edition which gave me extra stuff, and I got to show like some of the stuff that I that little Pegasus is one of the things that I got, but I know it's not like exactly awesome. Like you guys have been playing Stalker and all this other stuff, and I play Dreamlight Valley and I decorate It's cute. It's easy. It's an easy game for me to put up and put down. It's fun. You get to decorate and things like that, and you get Pegasus. And there's an update tomorrow that brings Sally from Nightmare Before Christmas into the game. So, and a new Star Path.
Anubis, you play that as well, right?
Oh yeah, yep. It's so good. I in this new area, these new biomes. So we got like, one of the new biomes we got was, I'm gonna call it like a spooky, but like glowy mushrooms, kind of a purpley, violety atmosphere. And so I made I made an Alice in Wonderland maze, basically, from some items I had previously had, but I didn't really have a place for them before. And so I made the Mad Hatter's little tea area. I had a lot of fun doing that. And then there's another biome where it's basically just like Greece and all like Hercules and stuff. And so I plan on I'll make like a little Pantheon kind of thing there too soon. It's a lot of fun.
The main biome is basically autumn leaves and everything. So it's like autumn, and they like have books. It's like a book lover's dream. They have books all around in bookshelves, and I'm like, can I live here, please, in real person? So I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, and I know it's like a cozy game, and I know
Dreamlight's great.
It's fun. It's something that you can do. You can pick up, you can put down, you can go through the quests, you can just be there for the dream snaps and everything, and hear people talk about them dream snaps constantly. I should have gone 4K.
If I can interject real quick, just so you guys understand, because this I truly think this is a brilliant idea, and I want more games to utilize it, although I don't know which ones would. So a dream snap. So we all know what, every game's got their battle passes and stuff like that. So again, Dreamlight Valley is a cozy sim game where you're decorating and stuff. So they have implemented, and they started this like a year or two ago. They have implemented every week you have a new Dream Snap challenge, and essentially it's an Instagram challenge. And they tell you the theme. They'll have some certain requirements, like maybe it's a clothing thing, so it's like you've got to have 3 articles of yellow and whatnot. And so they'll have some rules, but then you have a lot of freedom, and that's what keeps me going so much. Is you get to every week, I've got this new challenge I got to do. I got to try to get this, and then the reward is the premium currency. So you've got your in-game currency, but then you've got your moonstones, which is the real money stuff, and you have a minimum of. You get a minimum of 300 moons just for entering. And like, even if you're like the worst person ever, it's like, whatever, you'll still get something. And then, as Nessa was saying, like a lot of times people try to get like 4K or something. 4K, I've gotten like 4K like 2 or 3 times, maybe. I've definitely twice. And I'm always really excited. Usually I hover around like 900 to 1200. But it's like it's brilliant. You are giving me currency to and like I feel really rewarded, because it's not just the little in-game currency. I wouldn't care about that at all. The whole money system is broken in that game. But the premium stuff where I can buy these cool decorations and I can be like, oh good, I don't have to spend real money. But it's such a positive way of doing it that I've absolutely been like, yeah, I bought the magical edition of the DLC, which was an extra $20, which I probably didn't really need to spend, other than I just wanted baby Pegasus. But at the same time, I was like, these guys, I've been playing this game like daily for like 2 years, and they've been doing a very good job, and I feel like they've been very consumer friendly. And so Dream Snaps is just weekly Instagram challenges is such a cool concept. I really would love to see I guess, it doesn't have to be the exact same, but I would love to see other games expand on how do we keep the gamer involved other than the typical battle pass? Like, I would like to see the evolution of where these battle passes can go.
Yeah, and
sorry.
sorry. And I was going to say, in the new update, they're going to make, for the Dream Snaps, anybody who is the top tier ones, except on PlayStation, because PlayStation is not playing nice, I think they'll get an extra bonus on top of that for being under, like, being showcased for the top tier or something like that, if they want to be, or something like that. And they'll be in, like, on the, I think, either on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, if you used to call it X. So, sorry, Silkenet.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say to Anubis, like, I haven't explored it yet, really, but in Flight Sim 24, they have that with like photo challenges. Like, they give you a location and you have to fly over there and take the best picture you can.
But so the part that stands out to me though is, how rewarded are you? Is that part of, is that just the game grind, or is this an additional reward?
That's the part I don't know. I don't know if they give you maybe, because now that they have a whole career system, I don't know if it gives you like maybe in-game money, like to have licenses or planes or that's the part I don't know. I know that they have challenges and that they showcase after the winners, but the reward part I'm not clear on.
Okay.
Yet. I will be at some point.
I want to talk about, first of all, thank you for talking so much about Dreamlight Valley, because that's such an aspect of gaming. It's a lot like JRPGs for our community. I know Rick loves them. I know there's a JRPG section in our Discord. I know Kevin Ainsworth loves them, and Clint loves them, but like I don't get to hear about it.
I'm waiting for Winterborn to come out, and I'm waiting for money to go buy Tiny Glade because I need more.
Tiny Glade is really good. It's really fun. You can make a cozy channel. I'll be there too.
Nice.
Tiny Glades, Fields of Mystria, Stardew Valley, whatever.
See, that's just fun. I love hearing about it because I don't enjoy playing them. I enjoy them vicariously through you guys. Like, I enjoy watching you and Anubis talk about it in our Discord. I know that sounds so silly, but that's how I get joy from this game that I don't play. And I think this goes back to what I was talking about with Rick earlier in the episode is, like, do you feel left out or bad that you feel the way? He did not feel left out on mobile, but like there are some games that I just wish I understood. I wish I was a part of that community, the Dark Souls community. Like, I like Elden Ring a lot, but I have no love for Dark Souls whatsoever, or Souls likes. So when people love
curiosity, not to cut you off, I'm sorry, but
sure.
Have you tried it since you played Elden Ring? Because there are a lot of people who, after playing Elden Ring, kind of learned it. They learned the way that it works and went backwards. And it's the same thing. It's just one's linear and one's not, essentially.
Dark Souls specifically.
What's that, Silkenet?
That's a big difference of design.
There is, but I mean, if you got the combat down as well as the way that actually you like Lords of the Fallen, so I mean it's not like you don't like any of them. So,
right, I don't mind Souls likes and I enjoy some of them, but both Elden Ring and Lords of the Fallen allowed me to grind to get more powerful so that I could make up my skill gap or my patience gap at that, because some bosses require a patience and timing that is just too brutal. And there was a boss or two in Lords of the Fallen that I just didn't have fun fighting. I did not enjoy them. And so to use, I guess, Lords of the Fallen's equivalent of a mimic tier or something like it, plus a few of the AI boons that you can get, like using those were absolutely ways that I went about it. But I consistently found that sometimes I just don't have the pace, the joy for doing it. So I'll throw on a podcast, go grind this one stat until it's where it needs to be, so I don't have the same struggle. I could do the same thing in Elden Ring. If this doesn't work, I'll just turn around, go a different direction, gain XP in a different direction, and return when I'm ready for this thing or that thing. And I wonder if Dark Souls doesn't have that, if I would enjoy it.
Well, okay, so I'll talk about that for a minute, and then I have something else I want to say in terms of the other part of that you're saying. Technically, in Dark Souls, you can grind. It's not as easy to do as an Elden Ring, where you can just go a different direction instead. Severito, Lies of P is amazing, and actually, I argue that it's. I know I'm alone on this hill, but I argue it's maybe the best Souls-like ever made.
Ooh, that is high praise.
I have long said I thought it was better than Elden Ring, and I've more come around on Elden Ring than what I did at the time, but I still think Lies of P is better. Plus, Lies of P has an actual story worth following, whereas Elden Ring, me and Silken had to buy $250 friggin' tomes to understand what the hell's going on. But yeah, in Elden Ring, if you're struggling with a boss or whatever, you can just kind of wander off and do something different. You can't really do that in Souls, but you still can grind. I mean, you can still find a decent area where you're comfortable killing enemies quickly and grind levels. Obviously, eventually it gets to the point that it's not worth the time anymore. But theoretically, you can do that. Now, in terms of you saying about JRPGs, I know I've said this before. I'm going to say it again. I want you to play the demo to Final Fantasy 16. I'll be flabbergasted if you don't like it. I'm telling you, because it is not what you think it is. It's not weeby at all. In fact, it's by far the least Japanese of all the JRPGs. You told me in the past you like Devil May Cry, right?
He is scared of weeb. I can confirm.
I know. I understand that. And there's not the most weeb in that game. The most is when you get to when Clive is older, his hair. And even that is not incredibly weeby. It is a little bit, but not super. That game is not at all like other things. And you told me in the past you like Devil May Cry, did you not?
No, I didn't dislike it. I never finished a single one, but I thought it was cool.
Do you like the combat? If you like the combat, you're going to like Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, I like it in a button mashy way, but not in a learn the combos.
Well, that's
kind of that.
Yeah, 16 is not nearly as in depth in terms of the combos. Try that demo. I'm telling you, try it. I think you'll like it, and I think you'll be like, all right, I should listen all along.
It's on my PlayStation, right?
Yes, I don't believe it's on PC, but it's not on Xbox yet. It will be eventually, I'm sure, but it's not there.
Okay.
Yet.
Yeah, I think it's coming sooner than we think, but not soon. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I think maybe an announcement is coming soon. But
yeah,
because the PC version just came out 3 months ago.
Yeah.
I'm guessing we'll see. The exclusivity period is over. I just think they haven't worked on porting it, so that's why it's kind of been held back at this point.
I wonder if that's a Game Awards, but pin that thought for just a second. I want to thank Game Seeker for the $2 super chat. He says, Luke, where did you get your Covenant sword light? I got it off Amazon, but seeing that you gave Canadian super chat, I went to Amazon Canada, and all of the Amazon Canada energy swords right now are secondhand, and they're in the $100 plus area. When I got mine, it was $20-$25 at the time. So that I got it off Amazon. It wasn't like a specific thing. You have one too, Anubis? Yeah. Did you get yours at GameStop, Anubis, or Amazon?
I don't remember. It's been too long.
It has been a while.
Yeah, I don't know. But I was saying in chat, I know that this went to all the retailers.
Yeah.
If you're in Canada, see, I don't think current GameStop does, but Canadian GameStop actually might still have it. When I say current, US GameStop. US GameStop, I don't think currently sells the sword anymore, but I could believe that Canadian GameStop might still. So yeah, definitely check that. And then I mentioned there's a website called I want to say it's Toynk, TOYNK. I really think that's the name, and they have a lot of cool Halo stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just looked up on eBay. There's a red one for $60.
The
Yeah.
retail is definitely 20 to 30. Don't overpay for it. You can. I promise you, they're not that rare.
Check the size. Make sure the size is actually not a huge one too.
Yeah,
I was noticing that.
I like it a lot. Better. Yeah, it depends.
Misconception.
I like it a lot, Game Seeker, but I will say Anubis is correct. Don't overpay. it's not like it's a great quality light. It's really dope on camera. That's what I like about it. I love that it's Halo, but like as far as a light goes, it is more aesthetics than it is function or anything like that. But thank you also for the super chat. It is very much appreciated. It very much goes towards good causes, and I'm grateful to you. So I think we gave almost the entirety of our Patreon money from November towards different extra lives that I spread it across like a bunch of different creators. So I definitely try to loop back and let you guys know where your money goes. So thank you. Can I talk about a game that I didn't talk about on XEP, but I sort of did, but didn't? Someone say yes.
It's your show.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. It's our show. So one of the things I really enjoy is Ninja Turtles, and I love the new like roguelike, or not, it's not new, I guess. It came to Steam after being on Switch and prior to that Apple Arcade. It's called Splintered Fate. Well, this will sound very strange, but Fortnite made their own island or area that has a very similar experience using the Fortnite engine, where you're playing as the turtles. You go to the turtle lair and you experience this roguelike gameplay where you go through, battle against different members of the Foot Clan and different enemies of the Ninja Turtles. You can play as your normal TMNT character or any other skin that you have in Fortnite. So you can be Batman, you can be Spider-Man and whatnot, but you go and like you go through what is essentially Turtles in Time in Fortnite. Sometimes you're at Tilted Towers, sometimes you're at Big Apple, 3 a.m., and you're fighting against different baddies from the TMNT universe. When you die, you take your coins back, you level up with some of your stats, you go back in, you run it again. It's very surface level, but I have found a fun addiction to it, and you do get XP towards your Fortnite Battle Pass if you care. But I have the reason I bring this up, I'm having a lot of fun, but I know that Lohr is an IP person. I need IP that I love for a lot of gameplay. Logan kind of tunes me out sometimes when I go on my IP stuff.
What? Do I tune you out? I embrace it.
Oh, I thought you did.
Bro, you're telling me that in all of the DMs where I'm constantly tagging you with Ninja Turtle stuff, I'm ignoring when you go into like an IP fugue state? Are you kidding? I embrace it and I force stuff into your DMs all the time for it. How dare?
Can I tell you, I've been taking that totally backwards and thinking that you were making fun of me.
No, I'm
that
showing
makes
you
my
cool
heart so
stuff.
happy. I'm so happy now.
Like
retroactively
cool
happy
stuff.
for like 20 different messages you've sent me. I thought you were like, Luke likes Ninja Turtles again.
Like, this looks cool. Luke would like it.
Well, you know what? Thank you. I appreciate you. It
God.
makes me love you that much more, my friend.
Logan catching some strays here.
No, unintentionally, because our group tends to go after me for the stuff that I really get into. Because like we're about to go into a Power Ranger phase. I can feel it. Rita's Rewind is around the corner. I've got an interview and a review set up, and I'm excited. But to loop back, I've long said the Fortnite engine is fantastic for showcasing great visuals and great gameplay. For all the flack that Fortnite can get for being Fortnite, like the Star Wars gameplay with the lightsabers and seeing Vader go around and the speeders is amazing. For all the Fortnite-esque elements of things, when you are the Turtles in that game with the nunchucks, the sais, the bow, you're playing a Turtles game. When you are playing in different areas with the Spider-Man web slingers, you're being Spider-Man. I flew around as Iron Man in the previous season or 2 seasons back in the Marvel season. So they do a very good job at capturing the feeling of the IP, and this Fortnite Island that they made is really fun, and I hope somebody gets to enjoy it more than just, I guess, a Fortnite Island or something that Luke's talking about because he likes this IP, because it really is fun, and it's free because you have Fortnite. You play as whatever skin you like, and you go in, you fight some baddies. It's low stakes, low effort, put on a podcast, have a good time. I like those kind of games, and so Splintered Fate is the one that I'm really loving. But as a wonderful compromise on my console, because Splintered Fate's not yet on console, I'm enjoying that too. So that's been fun.
Very nice.
Thanks,
Question
guys.
about Splintered Fate. how close is it to Hades in terms of gameplay? Because
It is
when I
nearly
saw
identical.
Okay, so that makes me more interested.
How's the music?
So let me finish the Hades thought, and then I'll loop back to music. The Hades stuff, it is almost 1-to-1 in so many ways. It is a wonderful TMNT skin on top of a Hades gameplay. You can play co-op, you can play solo. Love it. I genuinely love it. I just need more people to play with. I think only Bacon from the Nerd Chat and myself play Splintered Fate, or at least talk about playing Splintered Fate. So I really love it. And again, I love TMNT, but I also loved Hades. Both are there. As far as the music, Anubis, it's good. It's fine. You don't get your classic song in there that you might want. Like, I know a lot of us want that teenage. That is in the Fortnite version, oddly enough, of the roguelike. So there's that. But I enjoy it. Like, I really would recommend it to anybody, whether you like Hades or TMNT. And if you like both, like myself, it's a real treat. So I love that. Thanks, guys. Thanks.
It is nice to see TMNT make a bit of a comeback. It has not come back in a way that I care about, unfortunately. Although I have not seen that movie. I do want to see that movie from 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, that's what I've heard. I've not seen it yet. Maybe I'll watch it.
The one that was kind of claymation.
Yeah. It look like hand drawn. Like that. I thought that looked pretty good outside.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good story.
The character's awful design, but otherwise the movie looked good. Unfortunately,
actually,
gameplay wise, it has not done anything that I wanted to do yet. But
Logan, what you gonna say?
Oh no, I was gonna go off on a tangent, and I realized it was definitely not the place to be doing.
Yeah.
You know what? I often chuckle. So being me, loving the IP that I love, I like when my heroes and characters become more adult, right? Like, I liked Snyder because he was darker heroes in the DC universe. I liked the old TMNT movies when they were darker and more violent. I like the IDW comic runs because they were pretty violent, but they were still approachable. So sometimes TMNT can be very kid friendly, sometimes can be very dark and gritty, and everywhere in between. And this most recent one is clearly kid targeted, but it's very much oh gosh, that's awesome. But it's very much one that, as a like, I don't have children, but because I'm a teacher, like, I get to surround myself with that stuff. I really enjoyed it, Rick. So I think you'll enjoy the movie in the way you might enjoy Spider-Verse.
No, I definitely think I'd like the movie, because even when I saw previews, I was like, man, we should go see that, and we ended up not doing it for some reason. But I thought it was pretty good.
It's kid targeted, but so well done, and there's enough fun jokes in there that I think you'd enjoy it. And it departs enough that it's a different thing. Like, yeah, it's an origin story, but it's not the same. I think April.
I don't know the teenage part.
Very much the teenage part,
in a good way, not super cringy, in a good way. And Jackie Chan is the voice of Splinter, and that's great. And there is a part where he has a fight scene, and if you're paying attention and you know that it's Jackie Chan, you'll realize they made Splinter fight like Jackie Chan, and like how he'll just improvise on the scenery around him and stuff. Like, it was really cool.
Also eats cheese the same way. Little known fact.
I honestly don't remember. Does he eat cheese in that?
No, he doesn't. That was a really bad joke.
Oh, but like totally possible in the movie.
Well, does he eat pizza? If he eats pizza, he eats cheese.
That's a good question. I actually don't remember.
Does Splinter eat pizza?
Well, he definitely does. Just does he in that movie is what I'm asking.
Yeah,
I'm sure he probably did, because I know that movie did have like pizza eating scenes. Gratuitous, by the way, very gratuitous. Watch your kids on that one.
I'm gonna move on from that so I get in trouble, because I love TMNT. I've watched the old show from back in the day when I grew. I love that one. I really enjoyed 2000. Yeah, same. But I love 2003's version.
That very first movie I ever saw in theaters.
That's cool.
My dad took me. I don't know. I was like 6 or 7.
See, I like those turtles. They were very they were combat heavy. Whereas the second movie, they didn't get to use their weapons, which I thought was interesting.
Just a small tangent here, but going into that movie, my favorite turtle was Leonardo. I hated him after that movie because he was an asshole.
He's my favorite turtle.
And he got Raphael beat up. I hated him after that.
Raph was my favorite growing up. Leo's my favorite now.
Yeah, Leo was my favorite growing up, and now Raph is my favorite.
Yeah.
See,
yeah.
I turned into an asshole. You turned into a nice guy. That's the difference.
I mean, that's it.
That's the difference.
I will say I like the old show, of course, but the 2003 show really good at, but like grown up. The 2012 show, which was CGI, I really love that one. That does a great balance of the two and it has great writing. It's kind of like watching the animated Avatar show. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are, you can enjoy it. It's that good.
It's amazing.
So I dig that one. And then I'm curious. I have not watched Tales from the TMNT, which is the one that ties into the most recent movie. So I haven't watched that one yet. So anyway, thanks for letting me talk about Ninja Turtles. God, I love being an adult. This is great. So, yeah. Well, is there anything else on anyone's mind pressing, something you want to talk about before we head into our December? And then at the end of December, I'll let any listener know that's catching this live or on VOD. The end of December, we're going to do our Community Game of the Year episode. So keep that in mind. What do you want to talk about?
I know it's not games, but has anybody watched the new Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew?
I'm watching it right after this. No spoilers.
I couldn't be less interested.
It's definitely, if you've watched Star Trek Prodigy, it's got that kind of vibes and everything.
Is it animated?
Yes.
It's not animated.
No, it's live action.
It's live action, but it's got the vibes of Star Trek Prodigy.
It's
like
the Goonies meets Star Wars, is my understanding, which has me really excited.
It looks really, it's really, really good from what I saw. It's very fun. And I know if people are like, it's not Star Wars, but it's kind of got Star Wars to it because, like, if you listen to a lot of the content creators that are breaking down Star Wars, it's kind of like what George Lucas and that era of movie makers in the 80s, early 80s and 70s were trying to do, like, get out of the suburbs, basically. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to give too much more. Yeah, not trying to give any more spoilers for people in the chat and in here who haven't seen it. But it looks cool. And my theory is there's some reason why the show, the where they live is like what they live. You'll figure it out once you guys watch.
All right, fair enough.
It's on Skeleton Crew is the name of it. Four ordinary kids search for their home planet after getting lost in the Star Wars galaxy.
All right.
Sounds like the Ewok movies.
Yeah, it does sound like the Ewok movies.
I feel like there's some judgment behind that statement.
Yeah,
I'm not going to really unpack.
No, I love them. That's how I discovered Star Wars.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, that's cool.
Yep.
Canada. What do you?
France.
To spin off of that and back into games, the one thing I'll just mention before we get into December, this Friday. Well, I guess we're in December. I'm sorry, I don't know what month it is. The Friday is Marvel Rivals though, so that's how I'm kicking off my December.
I'm doing it.
I muted. I'm sorry.
Right.
Marvel Rivals, I'm curious about because I played the beta.
Mm-hmm.
I did not think the gameplay did a ton for it, but I enjoyed it. And again, Lohr is IP based. I love the IP.
That's the only reason I care about it is because it's Marvel characters.
Yeah. So I will be checking it out for sure. Let's see. Today's the 3rd. There is a VR game I want to play called Behemoth. There's another one, Metro Awakening, I want to put some time into.
Is it Behemoth out? Is Behemoth the name?
Yeah, Behemoth.
Behemoth comes out on the 5th, but it's coming in so hot. They already delayed it a month. They had cascading hardware failures across PC VR, PSVR 2, and Quest. So it's coming in super hot. There's PSVR 2 is getting a day 1 patch. Quest is getting a day 7 patch. And I'm like, yo, what? Like, that's not helpful. Alien Rogue Incursion looks dope. That game delayed on Quest till February because it's coming out the other places. I'd rather them delay than damage the medium or the brand, but we'll see. Bless you.
Hi.
You're good. So we'll see. But this weekend I want to put some time into one of my VR games, because having finished Shadow, finished Arizona Sunshine, I bought a couple things in the MetaQuest Black Friday sale. So we'll see. We'll see. That's all I'm to do. All right. Let's round out here. Silkenet, let people know where they can find you if they are so interested.
You can find me on Blue Sky at Silkenet, or on Discord, on the XEP Discord. I'll just shoot out on the 19th. 6-1 Indie is doing the Indie Game Awards that will just celebrate indie games, and it's just an award show. There's no trailer, no ads, no announcements. It's just for the devs and to showcase games of the year. So please watch it.
Shout out to
Play
6-1
more
Indie in
indies.
general. Absolutely. Play more indies indeed. And you, Nine Souls, is coming, just came to Game Pass? Is that right?
Yeah, last week. Yeah.
Nice. Very cool. I thought of you immediately.
Nine Souls is good.
Nine Souls is very good.
Nice. Anubis, where can we find you, my friend?
Yeah, I am also on the Blue Sky now. Anubis XG on that. Anubis 316 on X until Blue Sky gets popular enough. But since I'm just so established on the old one, I just stay on that one for most of it. But yeah, that's me. Blue Sky and Twitter. I got those two.
I keep muting so my typing goes away, and then I find that I'm half a second delayed in unmuting. Mr. Rick Davis, now the Elden Lord of Spreading the Nerd, sir.
Yes. Twitter, Steam, PlayStation, Xbox, Butch4969. As you mentioned, I'm on Spreading the Nerd. Got some cool stuff coming up actually. This Friday we have our first interview. Someone that I know, and found out what he did, and I'm like, oh, cool. And he agreed to come on. Also, just gonna plug here a minute if you don't mind.
Please.
Next week on Thursday, is the Game Awards. We are doing a live watch and react, because for those who do not watch, Clint and I have a bet, which we both regret greatly, about we guessed on, what those idiots are going to vote for in that. And the loser has to eat something utterly repulsive that Ellery apparently eats as a snack. And neither one of us wants to do it. So there will be definite tension as we are both watching, with a fear of projectile vomiting in our future.
What's the snack?
Chips
with ketchup on them, which is
what the actual...
Yes.
Thank you. Did you not all do that as a kid?
No,
I did that all the time as a kid.
They have ketchup flavored chips already. Like, that is
not.
See,
that's how this started. I thought that's what we were gonna do. I was like, all right, that's gross enough, but so be it. And then Clint goes, well, wait, are we getting ketchup flavored chips, or do we have to eat ketchups or chips with ketchup? And they said chips with ketchup, and I was like, now I don't want to do this anymore, but I'm already in too deep. So like not even. So also, to be clear, the loser also has to buy the winner a game. I don't even care about that. I just don't want to eat these stupid chips. I don't want the game. I just don't want to eat the damn chips.
Can I the red-blooded Sorry, the red-blooded American during 4th of July wants to say something about having hot dogs, chips, and hamburgers like all together on a paper plate watching fireworks.
Separated on the plate.
Separated.
We had Dixie paper plates. That stuff was mashed together it went into your face at a regular rate.
It makes sense why you like eggnog, because you don't mind all your garbage being mashed together and eaten at one time. Now it all makes sense.
Cream and milk. I mean,
let me tell you something. When Rick Davis and Luke Lohr agree, you're in trouble, guys. Yes. And we are in agreement on these two things.
You guys hate deviled eggs.
So, not even joking. if you want to laugh, watch this show or this episode coming up if you can, because we're both like, it's not even a joke. We do not want to eat these chips, so we're going to be watching it with horror. And one of us, you're going to see like relief as the show goes on, and the other one you're going to watch get like more and more agitated as the show goes on. And I believe Silk and It, our more or less unofficial mod at this point, he's the one going to kind of keep score for us. May or may not be on the show yet. I don't know how that's going to work out, but so yeah, you'll be watching one of us literally like be very miserable as this goes on.
Well, just eat them on a hamburger, because that's like basically how you do it. You put it on. You put a cheeseburger. You put the ketchup, and then you put it on a hamburger, and it's crunchy. It's delicious.
It's a crunchy.
But a hamburger is not a potato chip.
It's just a flat French fry.
But it is cooked different. It's crispy and it tastes different. There's a big difference here.
Do you want your breaded chicken sandwich, or you want your grilled chicken sandwich?
I don't want ketchup on a chicken sandwich at all.
No, do you not like ketchup?
I do. We're going to wrap this up right now.
Not on chicken.
Luke, we have seen the end of this episode.
I think we have. Yeah.
Ketchup on chicken is a no.
That's negative. Yeah. Rick, we were on the same side for so long, but like it's chicken.
There's way better toppings for chicken than ketchup.
It's more chicken
like
and or ketchup.
Like hot sauce, for example.
Oh boy. Oh yeah. Okay. Nissa, let people know where they want to catch up with you if they'd like to.
You can find me on the XEP Discord. I don't give out my social, sorry people, except to the people that I invite to. Hey, therapist, I like to have my privacy. I'm sorry, but like my name is very unique, so you probably can find me on Facebook, but you can't find me. So, yeah, sorry.
There you go. So. Captain Logan.
There was a lot of stuff that was said this episode. Much of it I agree with. There are some travesties we shall not speak of. And just know that in our wonderful community that you can head over to patreon.com or join up through the YouTube memberships, you can share your thoughts and know that even though we disagree on some fundamental values about foodstuffs, we can all agree that games are fun and we're having a good time playing them this week and this last month. If you want to find me, you can always do so. My little handle is right here on the YouTube version. It is at captlogan.bluesky.social or bsky, which I always recommend bsky instead of do sky. So you can find me over there. You can find me over in the Discord. Otherwise, the Call of Duty review is getting recorded and edited at the moment. It is really hard to talk and look at Call of Duty without playing Call of Duty right now. So I can't wait for this review to be done so that I can go back to grinding out my prestiges.
There you go. I get it. I, of course, you can find me on social, both Blue Sky and Threads at InsipidGhost. I will say to all of you, because our community is growing on our Patreon and Discord, which is a very good and healthy thing in many ways, but know that Patreon, that Discord, that exists in order to keep XEP a very safe place for everybody. So that's why that paywall exists. You have to want to be there, and the people that are there are good to each other. We celebrate games in all places. We celebrate games on all platforms. This show tends to cover Xbox, but we celebrate games wherever and whatever they might be. So please consider supporting XEP in whatever fashion you like. Look forward to a month from now for our next community episode, where we talk about our favorite games of the year, which I know will be a fun one for sure. We've already got some clues for a couple of us and what it is we are preferring. That is going to be it for us. Have a fantastic rest of your week. Take care.
Good evening.